I'm Giuseppe. I got something special for you. Ready? Uno, due, tre, quattro. When I was a boy, just about the 8th grade, Mama used to say, don't stay out late with the bad boys. Always shoot the pool. Giuseppe going to flunk a school.
It's a great song. It still lives on, doesn't it? It's a fantastically funny song, too, at the same time. My next guest moved to Australia back in 1978, where his first single, Boat People, was a protest song about the poor treatment of the Vietnamese refugees. Fast forward to 1980, and he released that self-penned This One. It went on to become an international hit right around the world. It did so well. He's a singer, songwriter, poet, essayist, and I'm talking about Joe Dolce. He's on the line right now. Joe, lovely to have you with us today.
Great to be here, Leigh. How are you, Leigh?
Very, very well. Do you ever get sick of hearing that song?
Oh, yeah. Doesn't anybody?
No. There was something about it. It was happy, it was bright, it was good. It was set for the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I tell you, any song that I love, I hear it 5 times in a row, I want to start to throw it out the window. So, I think it just got played a lot.
It did.
High rotation, you know.
Yes, it was. Well, you sold, was it 6 million worldwide you sold, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. And I was reading the other day, it was the most successful Australian-produced single ever.
That's right, still holding that record.
Yeah, congratulations about that, too. How did it come about?
Oh, well, originally I was singing it as part of a cabaret show, and I was working with a little band at one of the clubs called Catch a Rising Star, and we pretty much had a really tight arrangement, but we only did it once in a while. And then I decided maybe we'd try to make a commercial release out of it. So I used the same band, Chris Levain, who made all the film clips for just about every Mushroom act, including all the Eagle Rock, all the great ones. He did the clip, and nobody wanted it. Every record company turned it down. One little label at the time called Astor, which was a little boutique label, took a punt on it, and it just suddenly started getting airplay, and then took off by itself after that. Yeah,
it was just history after that, wasn't it? It was wonderful. Really was.
Yeah,
and, of course, that first song you wrote when you first came to Australia about the refugees.
Well, that was interesting because, it's funny how full circles come around now with asylum seekers.
Yes, it is.
That issue existed then, and no one really wanted to know about it back then. There were no movements or anything. It was more like it was just happening, and then I thought, as a songwriter, I'd like to do something, draw some awareness to it. So I financed it myself. I think I've made about 500 copies. Got one article in the local paper, and then that died a death. And so then I gave all the copies to the Vietnamese community. There was one restaurant here over in Fitzroy, it was over in Richmond Street, and I gave them all the copies and made friends with them, and then got invited to a couple of events, and that was it. That was the end of that one. It was translated into Vietnamamese, too, which was interesting.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. Now, I was reading, too, about you that during your senior years at school, you had a lead role in a play there. It was called, you were playing the role of Marcel, was it?
Mascarille. He was the comic lead of a play by Molière called Les Précieux Ridicules. It was a send-up of the upper classes where these two street-level sort of guys decided to wear floppy clothes and penetrate the high society, and they made a lot of mistakes. And so I played one of those characters.
Yeah. Well, it was during that time that you met your co-star. Of course, her name was Carol Dunlop, and she was to introduce you to other things, wasn't it, including creative writing? Yeah,
I lived in Paynesville, and I was pretty much a little football town like Friday Night's Lights. And, if you were an artist or anybody creative, you're pretty much a wallflower. I had a really good sense of humor, so I sort of had made friends with most of the people. But this girl was from the college, and she actually saw way beyond what was happening in the town. She said I was more like European boys, which I didn't know what she meant. But anyway, she was a writer, and she used to sing in French. And, we sort of got sweet on each other. She was a couple of years older, but I asked her just jokingly if she'd go to my high school dance with me. Yeah. I'd never gone to a dance with anyone. And she said yes. So suddenly I had this honorary poet from the college as my date, and it turned a few heads, but it was good. She got me on that road to poetry and music, I think.
And that's become now a big part of your life, hasn't it?
It's funny how it's come all the way around back to that. I've in the last 6-7 years, I've always wanted to write a better song, and I always thought the song lyrics are really suffering these days, and the days when people like Woody Guthrie and the very early Bob Dylan, when they used to set these fantastic pieces of poetry and music, and thought I could still do that. I know how to do that. So I basically made a commitment to go back to poetry, and now I'm coming back to songwriting using some of those skills. So, yeah.
So you're taking the poems and then putting them to music?
Well, the basic thing is that originally in the days of Woody Guthrie, they used to write out the lyrics first. They'd type them out, and and then they'd set them to music. So they'd already have a coherent piece of writing that made sense in itself before they even picked up the guitar. Nowadays, people pick up a guitar and they sing along with a melody and they try to write words. And what happens when you do that is the melody and the words become so confused with each other that you can't really separate anymore a really addictive melody from a really good piece of lyrical writing. So I've gone back to the old way of get the lyrics right first, then separately pick up the guitar or the keyboard, write a really nice melody for it.
I'm glad you said that, because I think music's gone in a dreadful way the last 10 or 15 years, and lots of the melodies have been lost. And I think it's you've just said why, and I think you're quite right. And to hear someone like yourself is going to do it the other way around, have your poems there, have your lit, and then come back and do the song after that, the music. What a great way to do it. What are you writing right now in the way of a song?
Well, I've just put out a book called On Murray's Run, which is 150 poems and song lyrics that have already been published by Les Murray over the last 5 years. And Les is interesting because not only is he probably one of the greatest English poets in the world, but he's never heard any of these lyrics that I've sent him. So what he gets, I send him once a month a whole bunch of stuff, and he's picked 30 song lyrics out.
Right.
That he's never heard the music to, and so they're in this book. And one day I've always meant to go up and play him the song so he can hear what he's done. But what this does is acts as a kind of a filter for me, because if I know I can get these lyrics across as a poem to a poet who's never heard the music, he's not being, he's not leaning on the music or being prejudged. It's almost impossible to do that now with anyone who's popular, because you already know, like Bob Dylan, for instance, you'd never be able to separate his music from his words, because they just bonded together in your mind.
Yeah.
But I'm in a rare position where people don't know my songs yet, so I can use and take advantage of someone like Les Murray or other poets to help me actually craft my lyrics. And then when they become songs, they'll be twice as strong as they would have been if I'd have just done it without their help. So that's basically what I've done. I've just released this book, On Murray's Run. It can be ordered from my website, and it's basically all poems that have been vetted by Les Murray and lyrics. And it's quite a good thick book, 200 pages.
Where can we get it from? Online, for a bookstore as well?
You can probably get it from Amazon if you fail to remember my website. If you can just go to joedolce.net.
.net, okay.
And then you can
joedolce.net.
order it from there. That's direct order, and I can autograph it and all that. I've got limited copies, but I'm hopefully sell them out in a couple of weeks and get some more.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful to do something like that. What's next for you? I know you're writing and those sort of things. Are you going to be touring or recording soon?
Well, I pretty much now that I've hit my 70th birthday, I've lost the glamour of. I don't really want to be like Leonard Cohen, go on the road when you're in your 70s. I sort of like the home life I've got with my partner Lynn, which is very creative, and we both paint, write.
Well, she's an author too, isn't she?
She won the Age Story contest, and
yes.
She had a poem published in Best Australian Poems lately, and she's being published a lot. But she's also a very prolific painter who sold like 1,000 paintings in the last 2 years. I mean, she's got an incredible style. She's a real polymath in the sense that she can do 10 things really well. And we sort of like working with each other in these last part of our lives. The idea of going back and being a rock star again, I think I've gotten over that one. But someday I'd like to record some of these songs again. If I can, there's so many albums coming out that just disappear down the drain. There's got to be a good reason to do it. Maybe a film score would be good or something like that.
Tell me about, or tell the listeners, the background on Shut Over Your Face, because it was something to do, the words were something with your grandmother, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember I hadn't been home for about 8 years, and I went, I'd been California-ized and then Australian-ized, and, I forgot totally about my Italian background in a way. And I went home to visit my parents and went over to grandparents' house. Everyone was talking in broken English, all saying, swearing at each other. And it was like being in a Fellini film, really.
Really?
I was hearing this language I was raised with again, fresh. And so then on the way home on the train back to California from Ohio, to catch the plane home to Australia, I began to write down all these phrases, thinking it'd be good to put them all in the song one day if I ever got a chance. And that's how it originated. Pretty
That's
much.
how it came about. Yeah, that's a great story. Joe, great to catch up with you. I know we're Facebook friends, but to be talking like this, it's wonderful today for my listeners to hear.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your